Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nita Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharne Vishesha Shunyabari Paschachadeshatarne Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda We are reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Aadi Lila, first chapter, text 58. Let's see. Jive Shaksha Nahi. Jive Shaksha Nahi Tate. Jive Shakta Nahi Tate Guru Checha Rupe. Shiksha Guru Haya Krishna Mahanta Svarupe. Are you supposed to repeat it or no? Once or three times? Once? Three times. Okay? They're getting it up there. Your turn. Jive. Jive Shaksha Nahi Tate Guru Chaitya Rupe Shiksha Guru Haya Krishna Mahanta Svarupe Jive Shaksha Nahi Tate Guru Chaitya Rupe Shiksha Guru Haya Krishna Mahanta Svarupe Jive. By the living entity. Ah, much better. Shakshad. Direct experience. Nahi. There is not. Tate. Therefore. Guru. The spiritual master. Checharupe. In the form of the super soul. Shiksha Guru, the spiritual master who instructs. Haya, appears. Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead. In case you didn't know. Mahanta, the topmost devotee. Swarupe, in the form of. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Aki Jai. Since one cannot visually experience the presence of the Super Soul, he appears before us as a liberated devotee. Such a spiritual master is none other than Krishna himself. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It is not possible for a conditioned soul to directly meet Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if one becomes a sincere devotee and seriously engages in devotional service, Lord Krishna sends an instructing spiritual master to show him favor and invoke his dormant propensity for serving the Supreme. The preceptor appears before the external senses of the fortunate conditioned soul And at the same time, the devotee is guided from within by the Chaita Guru, Krishna, who is seated as the spiritual master within the heart of the living entity. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Since one cannot visually experience the presence of the Supersoul, he appears before us as a liberated devotee. Such a spiritual master is none other than Krishna himself. Om Ajnanatamrandasya Ganagana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Namaha. I offer my humble obeisances to the lotus feet of my spiritual master who has opened my eyes, blinded by the darkness of ignorance, with the torchlight of knowledge. Okay, we're back to our favorite subject, Guru Tattva, a subject that has been discussed, bandied about, argued. Really? Okay. Okay, get the password back. I goofed it. And debated and fought about since Srila Prabhupada departed. But then Vaishnavas have a history of bhasya, commentary, discussion, differences of opinion, other perceptions that are not the same amongst each other. So it's no surprise that for the past 42 years, no, 42 years, 77, that's 33 plus 20, 55 years, 45 years since Prabhupada left. Excuse me 1 second. That this has been a subject of great anxiety for all the devotees in ISKCON. Tell me, raise your hand if anybody is not aware of the fact that there are many differences of opinion regarding Guru Tattva. Raise your hand if you're not aware of that fact. You're not aware. You must be new, fairly new. Okay, I'll be gentle today, I promise. So, this is it's like the elephant, you know, where the blind men are trying to describe the elephant and they each have a different idea of what the elephant is like. One feels the trunk, one feels the leg. Oh, it's like this, and oh, it's like that. So similarly, the Guru Tattva is like that. Then, when you study it from the point of Prabhupada's Vani, only Prabhupada's Vani, you don't go back and start to say, well, you know, in the Sri Shampandaya, or in the Gaudiya Mat, or this or that. But you study it just from Prabhupada's Vani. Let's just define Prabhupada's Vani for a second. 22% of Prabhupada's Vani is in his books. Only 22%. Now, he says everything's in his books, but it's still only 22%. It's like the spiritual world. It's perfect. And then Prabhupada said, yes, it's perfect. Then there's more perfect. Then there's most perfect. It's all perfect. So Prabhupada's teachings, 22% of his Vani is found in his books, and 78% is in his conversations, his lectures, and his letters. 78% of what Prabhupada left us is there. So we have a lifetime of study of Prabhupada's Vani in all of what he's left us, a huge amount. And in that, he has pontificated upon the issue of what is guru and what are different types of guru. Like, have you ever heard the term monitor guru, regular guru, shiksha guru, diksha guru? So many types of gurus, right? And Prabhupada teaches us about them all. But to be able to understand Guru Tattva, you have to study like a great scholar. You have to study all of the things that Prabhupada said about it to get a picture of the elephant. Otherwise, you're kind of just making, oh, I feel this part, it's like this, or just like that. And different devotees have different capacities for study. Some devotees are very Brahminical oriented. Some are more Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. We're all coming, not that we are completely that way, because in the age of Kali, everything's mixed up. Now even whether you're a man or a woman is up for grabs. Everything's kind of crazy. So to think that we're immune from that craziness, no, we're not immune. So many of us, we don't have the gray matter or the mood to study so much. We rely on our elders, what we call senior devotees, and then we look to the senior devotees, and then they all have different opinions because they also come at it from different angles of vision. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave you? You're kind of like, well, I got to pick one, but I don't know what to pick. Not just a guru, but I have to pick my authority. Who's going to be my authority? How am I going to distinguish what is my realization? Because ultimately, you own it. It's you. It's you and your understanding of Guru Tattva. You can't say, well, I blame that person because they told me that's the way it is, right? Otherwise, what's happening? You're not taking responsibility for your own spiritual advancement. Prabhupada says that we're all fool number one. We're all fool number one. Why is that? Because everybody's thinking, I am this body and mind. So it's very difficult for fool number ones to figure this stuff out. And believe me, just because we're in the movement 50 years, in my case 52, I cannot say with absolute certainty that this is the truth and that other person's truth is false. Otherwise, I come from the position of what? Self-righteousness. I'm right, you're wrong. And my finger's pointing. And if I do that, what happens? I lose what? Humility. And what is humility? It is the emblem of the pure devotee. It is the ticket to Vaikuntha and Krishna Loka. You can't get there unless you're humble. And if you think I'm right and you're wrong, when it comes to the philosophy, various points of the philosophy, then you see the world in terms of friends and enemies, rather than seeing Krishna everywhere. So the great danger in approaching the issue of Guru Tattva is that we believe we're right and somebody else is wrong. As opposed to, that's my opinion, my realization, this is my Vigyan to the degree that I have, I've got some Gyan, and then what is Vigyan? Vigyan, it's in the heart. Now here in this purport, it's very interesting. First of all, if you were to take this literally, just you take the words that Prabhupada said and you go, oh, you see, Prabhupada says here that at the same time, the devotee is guided within by the Chaita Guru. So I have my, Hare Krishna. I have the external guru, and then I have the Chaita Guru. The Chaita Guru is, he says, seated as the spiritual master in the heart. Who is that? That's the Paramatma. Paramatma cannot be impure. So within the heart, we have the pure Guru giving Vigyan, not just Gyan. And externally, we have the regular guru, the monitor guru, what we may call the Diksha guru. We have that externally. Now, let me present you with a conundrum. A conundrum is a riddle. And I want you to really think about this riddle. You're a devote. You're born into this world. You grow up in a family that's not a Vaishnava, or they don't practice sadhana bhakti, right? You come into this world, you become 20 years old, and a light bulb goes off in your head. And you go, oh, everything here is meaningless. There's just a void here. It's just the material energy. It's just the modes of nature. I need spiritual life. I want to know what is God. And you search out, you become a seeker of God, and you come across the Hare Krishnas, and you go, this is it. This is the summum bonum. This is the end of all knowledge. Nothing can be higher than this. There's that Krishna, and you associate with devotees because there's some acknowledgement of the Chaita Guru giving you direction. You're not finding a guru yet, but you're finding this experienced knowledge within your heart. That's Chaita Guru. He brought you here. He brought you to Prabhupada's teachings. You didn't go to Ramakrishna's teachings or Amma's teachings or Sadhguru's teachings. You resonated. You felt the truth of Prabhupada's teachings. Oh, what a relief, right? Finally found my true path. Maybe your family didn't like it, but you found it. Now you're 20 years old. You look at, I got to find a guru. Got to get initiated. Okay, sadhana bhakti, I'm going to practice. Oh, I've got this different gurus. I'm not sure which one. I'll see. Finally, I think that's my guru. And you take initiation from that guru. And let's say that guru is quite young. That guru is like maybe 40. I'll get there in a minute. So that guru is around 40, you're 20. And you serve for 5 years. You're now 25. He's now 45. Unfortunately, while you're engaged in Sankirtan, you're in the van, you had an accident, you had a crash, you didn't have your seatbelt on, and you died at the age of 25. So you're taken from that body. The Yamadutas come, they say, you made progress, but you need to further your devotional service, so we're going to take you to another body, another mother, another womb, another birth. And you'll pick up where you left off. So you take another birth. Maybe you take another birth on this planet, in this universe. Maybe you take a birth in another universe. There's unlimited universes, right? Who says you're coming back to this earth planet? Krishna's pastimes are going on someplace all the time in the Mahatattva. It's eternal pastimes on some universe. So not necessarily you're going to come back to this planet. But let's say you do. You come back to this planet. And you're growing up as a small child. And you reach the age of 20. And again, your past life kicks in, and you have a desire for spiritual life, and you find the Hare Krishnas. Wonderful thing. But your spiritual master now was 55. He had a heart attack and died from the previous life. But you want to take initiation right away. So it says in the books, you have to find a spiritual master. You come to the temple, who's available. Let me see who resonates, and you take initiation from another person, because that other person, that other spiritual master, even if he were coming back, he would still only be a small child. So he's not initiating as a 2-year-old, 3-year-old. You're taking initiation from another body, right? Am I right? Do I have this right? Here we have this idea that I'm taking initiation from this person today, in my present life, and I'm their eternal servant. And they're going to guide me lifetime after lifetime. But because of my early death and coming back and my spiritual master having a heart attack from the previous life, and I'm taking initiation in this life, I'm going to be taking initiation from somebody else. Isn't it? So go figure what happened to that eternal relationship with that other person. Monitor guru, regular guru, whatever, however it was. You took diksha from that person. That's what you have to think about. You have to think about, what is the meaning of guru? What is the real meaning of guru? Now, I'm not going to sit here and get myself into hot water and tell you the answer, because I have my own realization. I'm a Prabhupada disciple. A lot of Prabhupada disciples say, Prabhupada's going to come back and get me. Or Prabhupada's returned, or Prabhupada. They may have that realization. Very wonderful. But I'm still going, for myself, I'm going, this is a big question for me. What is guru really? And that is the question that these kinds of purports should set you off on a very deep study for yourself, so that you find the answer. Krishna will reveal the answer to anyone who's sincere. But when Prabhupada says sincere in his books, he usually, more often than not, says sincere and intelligent. Sincere, must be sincere and intelligent, not just sincere. So what does intelligence mean? Well, buddhi, or intelligence, that's coming from Krishna. I am the source of all intelligence, right? So therefore, how do you become intelligent? You surrender. How do you surrender? That you must study. Obey the instructions of the great Mahatmas. That's why when in ISKCON, we emphasize Srila Prabhupada's Vani. Because we're all conditioned souls. Every single one of us. Rubber stamp guru, perfected guru, whatever. Prabhupada's teachings are what we are basing everything on. So we're in the same boat. I'm in the same ship that you're in. That ship that is created of Prabhupada's Vani. And each of us has to understand our relationship to Guru, and how we surrender to Guru, and then how we serve. And we have to recognize that the answer will not be the same for each person. I remember years ago, there was a South American devotee. He had searched all over South America for a guru. And he had had a dream of his guru. So he knew what his guru looked like. And he was looking everywhere for that guru. Came to India, was searching for his guru. One day, he was in an ISKCON temple, and he saw Gopal Krishna Maharaj. Boom. That's the person that was in my vision. Who can argue with that? That's perfect for that person. Krishna will always send you the guru. You don't have to look and look and look. He will send the guru to you in due course of time. And maybe not in this lifetime. Maybe you have to wait. Peter Burwash, one of the most wonderful devotees. He's a professional. Prabhupada gave him specific instructions because he had a tennis company, international. They supplied all the pros for the Sheraton hotels. And he required he was very inspired by Srila Prabhupada. So he required that anybody who was employed as a tennis pro had to follow the 4 regulated principles, and it was a zero tolerance, zero. If you broke the principle, you were fired because you signed a contract. I will follow these 4 regulated principles. And his company was super successful. And he wanted to take initiation from Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, no, you don't need initiation. Never gave him initiation. And every year, Peter Borosh was invited to New Vrindavan after Prabhupada left. They have these festivals once a year. And he would have a special seminar on Srila Prabhupada. And everybody would be desperate to attend that seminar because his love for Prabhupada was so deep. Recently, I've been reacquainted with our Prabhupada's disciple who was a guru in ISKCON, had difficulty. His name is Bhagavan. And Bhagavan contacted me because he was very concerned that a Gaudiya Math preacher was preaching saying that Prabhupada's purports are not bona fide. And yet this person was getting facility in ISKCON, kind of honored in ISKCON facility. I realized how deep is his attachment to Srila Prabhupada. He may not be a perfect devotee, but his realization of who is Srila Prabhupada. I mean, you have to understand Prabhupada's had a perfect astrological chart. Perfect. Prabhupada was, he was empowered. He is unique amongst all of the stars. He was predicted in the sense, if you do the math, 5,000 years ago, you go from the time that Krishna spoke to Uddhava about the great personality that would appear in the age of Kali, and you do the math of 5,000 years from the day, I forget the year that Krishna left. My math is not that great. But this one devotee, Guru Gauranga, he did the math. And if you do 5,000 years, guess what date you get? 1898. 1898. That was Prabhupada's birthday. 1896, sorry. That was Prabhupada's birthday. Yeah, 1898 was when my father was born. Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada, of course, replaces my father as my real father. Because my father, God bless him, didn't know what was reality. He didn't understand the great significance. Unfortunate as he was, he didn't have the association of the pure devotee, which we do. And that's so significant. And therefore, we can always rely on the teachings, the Bani of Srila Prabhupada, and that's where we have to get our answers. I hear so many classes where we're quoting so many other literatures of the Vaishnavas, but it's almost like we're jumping over what we've been given. I always take those quotes like, okay, great, you're very knowledgeable. You're quoting from these great Vaishnava saintly personalities, but I have to understand those personalities through the lotus mouth of Srila Prabhupada. I can't pretend to understand Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati or even Bhaktivinoda Thakur or what's Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, all these different books that have been translated. I can't pretend that I can really understand them, because the understanding it would be jumping over the actual previous acharya, and that would be prideful from my point of view. So I'm glad to hear these various quotes. It's very nice, but I always have to think of that in the context of how did Srila Prabhupada preach? What was his most important emphasis? I'll tell you a great story. Prabhupada's in New York. He's in the Bowery. When you study Srila Prabhupada's early days in New York, when he got to Boston, the ship captain takes him to, a little tour of Boston on the first day there. They come back to the ship, and the immigration officer comes there. And he says to Srila Prabhupada, okay, for your visa, how long are you going to stay? Because he had to stamp his visa. Prabhupada, later in a conversation, he said, well, he's thinking, he said, I thought to myself, well, I'll probably have 1 month that I'll be supported in Pennsylvania when I go to my hosts. And then another month, I don't have any money, so maybe can do 1 more month in New York. And so he tells the immigration officer, I'll take 2 months. That was what Prabhupada was thinking. He revealed what he was thinking. I'll take 2 months. And then Prabhupada goes on to say, so he said, every 2 months, I renewed for another 2 months and finally, after 1 year, I couldn't renew anymore. I had to go back to India. So Prabhupada himself, when you study, we may be under this misconception. Prabhupada, he had all these plans. Yes, he had these intentions, but the day-to-day planning, he was very much surrendered to Krishna every day. What to do? When he was in New York, he was in the Bowery. He was staying with a drug addict. They were separated. His bed was separated by a curtain from this meat-eating drug addict. And Prabhupada was saying, he said, I had no place to keep my food except where? In his refrigerator. And he had meat in that refrigerator. So then Prabhupada said, but what could I do? If you think to yourself about those words, but what could I do? What is that? Listen to the significance of that. He's making the best of a bad bargain. He's doing what he can with the existing circumstances. That's it. And if we do that with our own life, I see this woman year after year. I've been coming to Mumbai. And this woman comes, I don't know if she's here right now. She can hardly walk. She shuffles. You know that lady. She just barely makes it. About 2 inches at a time she can walk around. And she's here every day as far as I see. Every day. Now, one could say, well, she's not doing much service. But for her, just to come to the temple, it's enormous. It's an enormous task. Just for that little sparrow to start picking the drops of the ocean to try to dry up the ocean. It's an enormous task. But we don't know that. We don't know I don't know what's in you, what's difficult for you, how hard it is for you, what the conditioning is for you. There are some people in ISKCON, they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth, literally to unfathomable wealth, and they gave it all up. But still, their conditioning is such that it may be hard for them to give up the pride of wealth. Even they're not wealthy, they were raised like that, the prodigal son. So we don't know, because we don't know everybody's background. We don't know what's in their conditioned state. But we're going around judging. We're judging everybody because we have our standards. Of course, there's some basic standards that we have. But when it comes to our understanding each other, we're not the super soul. Neither is the guru, the conditioned, the kanishta, the majjhima guru. They're not the super soul. And even the uttama, he's not the super soul. He only knows what it is that Krishna wants him to know, because he's fully surrendered. Those that are less surrendered, they know something that Krishna wants, but some things are interfered in the kanishta and the majjhima state. So we're confronted with a situation where we're having to work with what we have. And therefore, your job as grand disciples and great-grand disciples, it is so much more difficult than the first generation, because you have much more responsibility. You have to tax your brain, as Prabhupada said, to distinguish what is spiritual and what is material, even when it comes to relating with your gurus. Because you don't have that agreed upon pure devotee of Krishna. You have people who are acting in pure devotion, but they're still conditioned. So how do you navigate that? It's much more difficult for you. And you look at us, we had it easy because, we're Prabhupada disciples and we're the chosen ones. But of those chosen ones, we also have our conditioned states and we're dealing with it and we're having, and it's not easy. It's almost impossible to overcome your nature. Krishna gives that advice in Bhagavad Gita. You really can't overcome your nature. You just have to dovetail your nature. Arjuna cannot not be a Kshatriya. He is a Kshatriya. And we see it in devotees also. We see that mood. That there's some people who are more fighting. Some people are more passive and Brahminical. Why you're not standing up? Well, Krishna's arrangement. And others are just content to work and not study so much. But every one of us has the equal opportunity to become a pure devotee. It's so amazing. But we can't judge. If you were to judge Jud Bharat, you know the story of Jud Bharat. He was dumb and he was deaf, pretending to be. Actually, he was so elevated. We don't know who could be dumb and deaf, but actually is so elevated. When you start to talk to them, they speak beautifully about the philosophy and they act, everything else. We don't know. And yet we go around with our holier than thou mentalities. Oh, I know that guru's not as good as this guru, or I'm better than that devotee, or he's this and he. It's a mess because we're judging all the time. Judge not, lest ye be judged. So the whole issue of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings and Prabhupada's purports, for one thing, has to be studied, read. You have to associate with the Vani. And by associate with the Vani, you will get the Vigyan. You will get your Vigyan, not somebody else's Vigyan. It belongs to you. You will live and die with it. When you die, nobody else is dying around you most of the time. So you have to own it. And this issue of Guru Tattva, I've been on a what do you call it? On the internet. Is that not a committee? I've been on, I've been on with 100 different Prabhupada disciples are on this one conference. Sorry. I've been on a conference for 12 years on this Guru Tattva issue. It's mind-boggling. Absolutely. You can't, it's hard to get my head around it all the time. And I realized that it's really Krishna's mercy for us to understand our relationship to Guru. What is Guru Tattva? It has not really been defined in ISKCON. It's been played with, it's been bandied about, we got some system going, but what it is going to be uniquely yours. You're going to own it. And if someone else doesn't respect your point of view, Hare Krishna, right? Just like there are many points of view about contentious subjects, Vaishnavi Diksha Gurus. We have Bhakti Vikasha's disciples here, and we also have Bhakti Charu's disciples here. They have different points of view about it. How do you reconcile all that? How do you find the truth in Guru Tattva? Who's right? Who's wrong? Maybe nobody. Maybe everybody's right. So this is the real challenge, because as Prabhupada left us, his greatest concern was your love for me will be shown by how you cooperate together. That means how you tolerate each other. Can you imagine what Prabhupada tolerated when he came? And his first devotees are homosexuals, for God's sakes. His first disciples are flaming homosexuals. And we're arguing in ISKCON, how should we treat the lesbians and the homosexuals in our movement? That want to come to our this and that. And here Prabhupada comes to America, his first disciples. And that's even before it was woke, So, when you see what Prabhupada did, when you actually get into his mood, then you begin to really become broad-minded. Then you can embrace, then you can become inclusive, not exclusive, not I'm right, they're wrong, I remember we opened up the Pyramid House preaching in 1979. We did Sunday feast every Sunday, 14 straight years except for Rath Yatra. So we had all kinds of people coming. And this transvestite couple came. And they were like, wow, Krishna consciousness, this is the best thing ever. Can we live with you? We want to stay here and serve you. My wife and I, we had one place that was available. And we looked at each other, we're saying, what do we do? Should we? And we're going, well, they're spirit souls. So it's okay. So they came and they were serving. So they would serve out the Sunday feast, and the guy in the dress with the hairy legs. And, some people would become a little freaked out. They were like, what's going on here? And, we'd say, well, everybody is welcome to practice sadhana bhakti. Everyone is welcome. We don't make distinctions as long as they're following the regulated principles here. It's not our business what they do outside. As long as they're following here, we'll engage them in service. That was our mood. Where did that mood come from? It came from Prabhupada. That was his mood to engage. One time they had... In San Diego, I think Bhadrinarayan Swami's told the story umpteen million times, but I'll tell it again because I love this story. There's this guy who wasn't sure if he wanted to be a man or a woman in San Diego. So sometimes he would stay in the ashram with the women, and sometimes he would stay in the ashram with the men. And the women were very agitated, and the men were very agitated. So the temple president didn't know what to do, so they went to Prabhupada, who was staying in Los Angeles. And Prabhupada, what do we do? Prabhupada thought for a moment. You tell him, pick one and stay with it. That was Prabhupada's solution. Pick one, stay with it. He didn't say, don't engage him or kick him out or criticize or this. Just Prabhupada was the most compassionate, practical, inclusive, wonderful person, as that's how I experienced him. Now, others may have experienced him as more grave, speaking, much more sharply, because he did on occasion. But that wasn't the experience of most of us. We loved Srila Prabhupada's personality. It was amazing. Shyam Sundar lived with me for 5 years recently, back in maybe 2005 to 10. And he wrote his first volume there of his Chasing Rhinos with the Swami. If you want to get Prabhupada's mood, read that book. Read those books. That's Prabhupada's. That is Prabhupada. That's the Prabhupada that I relate to. The adventurous Prabhupada, the humorous Prabhupada, the sometimes grave but never taking it too seriously Prabhupada. And that is why, frankly, I've traveled all over the world. I've been, doing ITV and everything, so many temples. This is the favorite temple. Why is this my favorite temple? Not just because you have such wonderful leadership here, but because this temple even with all of the faults, I know there are politics here. I know there's issues that go on. I know it's difficult, but believe me, you are the luckiest group of devotees on the planet, because this is the most loving, inclusive temple on the planet. This temple has Sri Sri Radha Rasa Bihari's absolute mercy. It is the best. And I should know, because I'm hypersensitive to criticism, hypersensitive. And this temple, you can kind of just be who you're going to be, and you're going to be accepted. You know, you have to follow the rules and regulations if you're going to live here. But if you don't live here and you want to participate here, no problem. You're loved. And I know that many of you have visited other temples, and I see you come back to this one. So you're very, very fortunate, because Prabhupada's mercy is here. His personality in its most compassionate form is here. I mean, it's my opinion. It's just my opinion, but it's my experience. Otherwise, why would I want to come here? You know, I can go anywhere. I can go to Chowpatty. I can go to Baroda. I can go to Vishakhapatnam. I can go to anywhere. But this place, for me, this is the best. Is it 9 o'clock already? Oh my God. I was going to show you something, but is it set up to show? Okay, just many of you, the previous verse was about Chintamani. All glories to Chintamani, my initiating spiritual master, and my initiating spiritual master, Somagiri. So this is about Biba Mangala. How many have you seen the ITV production Nandalal? Nandalal. It is Biba Mangala Thakur coming to Vrindavan, blind as he was, having blinded himself, searching for that beautiful cowherd boy Krishna. And I'm just going to show you, because it's 34 minutes, not happening here. I'm just going to show you the beginning, so that I downloaded it. Let's see if I've got it. Because I know that, let's see. I have to see if I can find it. Downloads. Okay, let's do it another way. No. We'll have to do it on YouTube. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Is it up there? Where do I have to click? Where? How do you connect the projector? I don't know how to connect with it. Where? You do it. Bring that window and start it. There. Now expand the window. And start. Is it starting? There. Okay. Sound? Should be sound. Should be music. We did this in 1982 or 3.
How far is Vrindavan? Can anybody help a blind man find his way? Where is Vrindavan? Can anybody say how far? What's the use? Who hear me? I've lost my way. God knows where I am. The holy men say, go to Vrindavan. There you can meditate on the Supreme Lord Krishna and attain peace. Well, I can meditate anywhere. Do you hear that, my lord? Anywhere.
I heard you. For an old man, you certainly have a loud voice.
Who's there?
Just a cowherd. I was bringing my cows back from pasture when I noticed you wandering in the forest alone. You seemed upset, so I brought you some hot milk to calm you down.
Hot milk? From where?
From a householder nearby. Certainly you hear the bells from their evening worship.
Ah, yes, yes, the bells. Now the sun sets in the west. Another day has come and gone.
Come, please, sit down over here. That's it. A little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Now sit and rest yourself.
Ah.
And here, drink.
This milk is delicious. Thank you.
Tell me, what is your name?
My name is Bilvamangala. And yours?
My name is Nandulal. I'm a cowherd in this village.
And what village is that?
The village of Vrindavan.
Vrindavan? The fish. Vrindavan. Vrindavan. I'm here at last. Nandulal, describe this place to me.
There's not much to describe. It's just a simple forest.
Just another forest. Don't you know this forest contains special trees? Vriksha, wish-fulfilling trees. Why, beneath their roots lie valuable stones and jewels. These trees can give you whatever you want. Tell me, are you from Vrindavan?
Yes, I've lived here practically all my life.
Well, I'm surprised you don't know about these things. You are very fortunate to live here in this special place, just depending upon Krishna's land and cows. Why, since time immemorial, great saints have made pilgrimage here to meditate in these forests, to bathe in the river Yamuna. And why? Because Lord Krishna had his pastimes here. And you live here, and all you see is a simple forest.
Simply beautiful. This forest abounds with the growth of lustrous green grass. Multicolored flowers perfume the air. The trees are fully laden with ripened dates, mangoes, and blackberries. Bees hum jubilantly, and the birds are sweetly singing to one another. I come here to enjoy the mild breezes and radiant sunshine while I tend my cows. I have many friends who come to see me, and they always bring me something delicious to eat.
Such as?
Halava, pakoras, puris, sweet rice, sandesh, laddu, rasgulla.
Enough, Nandulal. You're making me hungry.
Then here, try this.
Oh. Oh, amazing. Oh, I've never tasted such sweetness before. But then everything is sweet in this land of Krishna. Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't bring you anything. I've simply come here to meditate on the Supreme.
I hope you're not one of those people who come here to meditate to become God.
You cannot become God. God is already God.
I've heard so many different stories. Some people say that nature is God. Others say we can become God. And others say there is no God.
Gives them the power to say such things. They may say so much, but one cannot even speak or see or hear by his own strength. And when the time for death comes, everything stops, and no one can conquer death. It is the Supreme Lord Krishna who is giving them the power to speak. You live here in Krishna's own abode. Why, you should know these things.
You know, Bilvamangala, I'm beginning to like you.
Well, I like you too, Nandalal. Tell me, do you know the way to the river Yamuna? I want to bathe in its holy waters and chant Hare Krishna. Then I'll be clean both internally and externally.
I'll gladly show you the way. Come.
Nandalal, better you find yourself some rich merchant who can reward you for your kindness. I'm just a blind man. I am nothing.
Then you are qualified. Come. Here is your lota. I'll take you to the river before it gets too late. Come.
All right.
See what you've been missing? You should see the comments on YouTube. People are crying at the end of this. This is the mood of how we wanted to preach and want to preach. Krishna is so attractive, and the philosophy is so sublime. Anyway, you can access this on YouTube. Just look under Nandalal. You can watch the whole thing yourself, because there is an offense at work right now. That offense is that we're keeping prasadam waiting. So we must not offend prasad. Let's go. When I came here Thursday, it was Thursday morning. Yeah, I came Wednesday night. So Thursday morning, I took prasad with the brahmacharis. I felt just like Bivamangal Thakur when he was tasting the prasad given by Krishna. The prasad here is, in the brahmachari ashram, is the best. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Bol.